Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about decimal multiplication patterns when we're looking at a place value chart. So your learning target for today is that you will be able to describe the relationship between two decimal place value positions. So that means when we're looking at our decimal or our place value chart here, we see we have the tenths, hundredths, and thousands. I want you to be able to see what the relationship is between these place values. So let's start off by talking about what the relationship is. So if we move back and forth between these place values, we can start with tenths. The tenths is actually the largest place, the largest decimal. The hundredths is the second largest, and the thousandths are the third largest. So just like back over here where we go from larger to smaller, the same thing continues to happen with the decimal place where we go from larger to smaller. So don't let it fool you that even though tenths sounds like it's smaller than thousandths, it's really not. It's actually larger than the thousandths and the hundredths. So the next thing you need to know is the relationship between these. So first of all, hundredths, if we start with the hundredths are actually 10 times greater than the thousandths. So if I'm looking at something in the hundredths place, it's 10 times greater than in the thousandths place. Tenths is 10 times greater than the hundredths. So the tenths is 10 times bigger than the hundredths is 10 times bigger than the thousandths. Now if we look at the opposite direction, I can say the thousandths is 1/10 of the hundredths. The hundredths is 1/10 of the tenths. All right, let's look at some examples of this, and I have some notes for you to add to your math journal. So first of all, I want you to write down in your math journal, a digit in one place represents 10 times as much as it represents in the place to its right. So that means that if we're looking right here at this, oops, sorry about that. If we're looking here at this digit here, this is 3 hundredths because it's in the hundredths place and there's 3, so 3 hundredths. This digit in one place represents 10 times as much as it represents in the place to its right. So if I were to move this to the right, it would actually get smaller because this 3 hundredths is 10 times greater than 3 thousandths. We can look at some examples of this. If I were to multiply 3 tenths or 3 hundredths times 10, it would actually get bigger. It would get even bigger. So if I'm multiplying, let's say I say, okay, what's 3 hundredths times 10, I would make it larger and it would become 3 tenths. Now what we see the decimal moving, but what's actually happening is it's moving up in the place value chart. It's getting larger. We can also look at it this way. We can look at it the opposite way and say, okay, or we can say 3 tenths is actually 10 times as much as 3 hundredths. So either way, if we're looking at this number is bigger here than it would be over here. How much bigger? 10 times bigger. Now let's look at the opposite. A digit in one place represents 1/10 of what it represents in the place to its left. So I can take the same number, the same digit, and if I move it to its left, if I were to, I can say this number is actually 1/10 of what it would be here. So take my hundredths. 3 hundredths is 1/10 of 3 tenths. Okay, I could also do that over here. If I say 3 thousandths is 1/10 of 3 hundredths. Okay, so thousandths is smaller. It's 1/10 of the 3 hundredths. All right, so let's look at some examples together. We're going to do a couple practice problems. So we got to keep moving down. All right, so first of all, I want us to look at this problem right here. 2 hundredths is 10 times as much as what number? So if we're looking at 2 hundredths, that would be in this place right here. Well, we know the hundredths place. If we want to know what is, that this is 10 times bigger than something else. So 2 hundredths is 10 times bigger than what number? It's 10 times greater than what number? Well, if we look at it, remember we know that hundredths is larger than thousandths, so we would be able to put 0.02. 2 hundredths is 10 times greater than it would be if it were in this place. So we would move it to 0.002. 0.002 or 2 hundredths is 10 times as much as, or 10 times greater than 2 thousandths. All right, we can also look at it this way. We can say, and this is just another way to write it right here. We can write it that way. 2 hundredths is 10 times greater than what number? Okay, one more example here. What is 1/10 of 4/10? So I'm going to take the same place value chart. I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to say, okay, something is 1/10 of 4/10. So I'm going to put 0.4 right here. 4/10. What is 1/10 of 4/10? So whatever it is, this is 1/10 of 4/10. That means it's going to be smaller than 4/10 because it's 1/10 of it. And remember, whenever something's a fraction of something else, that means it's smaller than that something. So kind of like we did before, it's actually going to be in the hundredths place. 4 hundredths is 1/10 of 4/10. All right, we're going to practice this more in class tomorrow, but for tonight, I need you to do the your turn questions. Remember, if you have any questions, you can go back and review the video. Make sure you turn this in on Edmodo when you're done. Have a great night.